Uh, oh man. Oh.
Oh, awesome.
Can't wait to start the
record. You should walk around a day outside, do some shopping centers, just with that shirt.
To be
See what
fair,
you get.
I walked around with this shirt today.
Videos, what's that?
I went to Tesco's with it on, and I was like, oh, I don't normally wear this shirt outside. It's too late now. Because even though it's actually a totally fine shirt, I could just see people who don't know what it is getting offended by it, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not worth it.
That's their problem, right?
But the best part about this shirt is the back. Hang on.
The bird.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
The unicorn.
Cool. Oh, nice.
In sunglasses.
I can't see it, so I couldn't.
I feel like in America, no one would think differently or like give that shirt a second thought if they saw it.
Yeah,
No,
but like, it's not worth it in this country. Like, you never know who will see it and get offended by it because they don't know what it is. So I'm just like, I normally don't wear it outside. It's from It's from a wrestling group.
Oh,
Wrestling.
I see. So people who know that wrestling reference will get it.
Yeah.
But no one else will in this country.
No, and it'll just look like I'm wearing some weird, like, I don't even know how it might look to other people, but I feel like it would probably look racist in some way.
Maybe.
Which is why I'm always just like, I won't wear this outside, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, if you go to America, you know you can, so don't worry.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
Who knows these days?
Hi.
Right. Anyway, Pat.
Hi.
See, I knew that's what you were going to say. Why did you pick this movie, sir?
Oh, my initial pick was going to be Insomnia, but then I realised
it would be offensive to me. I appreciate that.
It's actually a Robin Williams film.
Ooh.
Because it's not streaming anywhere, I held off on it. I'm waiting for it to be streaming again. As soon as it is, that will replace whatever's in that week.
Fair enough.
So I decided to pick this, which happens to be one of my all-time favourites, just because it's such a fun film. It's something that I guess people like Alec won't.
Understand.
Well, people like Alec don't get along with because there's not a great deal in terms of story and character development, I guess, to the way that he's used to. Personally, I think like the story works for the type of film it is. The characters are great. What's happened here?
Dan's camera now.
Yeah, the characters are great. The dialogue's cheesy as fuck.
I'm glad you didn't say great.
I mean, you've known me long enough to know that like films containing Nick Cage and Arnold Schwarzenegger are sort of some of my favourites. So like, good dialogue is not something you expect, but cheesy dialogue you get in spades.
Yeah, to be fair, I was about 5 minutes in before I was like, yeah, this is Pat.
That's something I dig a lot in films. Like some films, I just want to sit there and watch it. I don't want to have to think about anything serious or complex. Just sit there, watch it, enjoy what's in front of me. I thought this would be a nice film to have, considering we've had quite serious and complex stories, I guess, in the last few weeks. So
Surprised you didn't pick Michael Bay.
Huh?
I'm surprised you didn't pick a Michael Bay.
I've already picked him once, and I've got a couple of his coming up in the next couple of years. So.
Wait. What did you just say, Pat?
I said I have a couple of his coming up in the next couple of years.
You did say years. Fucking hell.
Hey, look, film club's never ending.
Yeah, but it's such a random like being like, oh, I've got coming up like in the next couple of months would be like fair enough, yeah.
To be fair, me and Rob have been talking about our long-term plans for
this. You make it sound like I don't know, like a local authority project or something.
It's more like you're talking about getting married.
Hey, this is the only thing I've committed to.
Oh God.
Rob, what did you call it? A what project?
A local authority project.
Oh.
Yeah, it was also a film with. I didn't expect to go down that well with everyone, but I wanted to watch it, so.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched it for a few years because we mocked him.
I think it hit decently. Seeing the ratings and stuff.
It scored higher than I expected it to.
The thing for me was like I was saying before everyone got here that like I got about halfway through and I was like, this is fucking stupid. And then something in the back of my mind went, this is just a bunch of WCW promos. And then as soon as I had that thought, I was like, oh no, I actually quite like this.
Oh wait, are most of them in WCW?
No, just the whole style of it. Like it just, yeah. I felt like the only thing it was missing was a match at the end.
A lot of critics call it a bad film. That's brilliant. I'd say without the cast that they had, this definitely would have classed as a bad film.
I think it's a shame that it didn't qualify, to be honest, because this was like on point for that round.
I mean, I'm sort of glad it didn't because I love this film.
It's been the highest scoring one.
I mean, like I gave Story a 7 purely because of the type of film it is. It didn't really need something amazing, but it worked for the type of film it wanted to be. So I wasn't going to score it too low either.
Oh, that was kind of my thing because I was like, I don't want to give it a high score for Story because I do think it's very silly. But at the same time, like I did want to sort of reflect that that's not necessarily what the film was about. Like it didn't really need to have a decent story. Yeah, that's why I gave it a high score for purpose.
Yeah, because like that's why it's hard to rate sometimes. Because I guess that's why, like you say, we've got purpose and stuff. But like. Story to me isn't always about whether it's a good story or not. Like it's about whether the story works, like in context as well for me. Like obviously I know that's more of a purpose thing, but I kind of put that into story as well. So like I guess that's the same kind of thing as like with Star Wars. There'll be problems that I don't care about because I think it doesn't matter to the overall story.
Yeah. I
the
think
one
that's
part.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry. I think the one part. No, I think sorry. The one part. Just wanted to say that really got me, or I was like, oh man, I have to give this one higher score because I was going to give it 3 for Story, but I gave it 4 because right at the end when the daughter hugs him, I almost cried.
Really?
Hello, David.
Fuck off, David.
They told you to fuck off.
That got me. And
No.
I think it's one of those things that, like, for anyone, like, if you have if you have a daughter, watch any film that has a scene like that again, and then you just feel it. You're just like, oh man.
Well, you got to give props to the little girl for the acting there because like she seemed genuinely like both upset and happy.
She was good. Yeah.
The mother wasn't very good, but that's fine.
I have to admit, like my mind was kind of elsewhere in that scene because all I could think was this is a Celine Dion song, but I'm not sure if it's Celine Dion singing it.
Oh no, don't.
Oh man, I ignored the song.
To be honest, I knocked down production because of that song. I was like, no.
Oh, it really made me laugh, man. Like as soon as the film started and that came on, I was like, Pat, this has got a Celine Dion song.
That's exactly the thought process I had. The song started and I was like, this isn't Pat.
Every film that I've been picking recently, I get a message from Rob It's like, what the fuck are you making me watch? It's like, end of days, it's like, fuck you, Pat, for making me watch a Christmas film in the summer.
Oh man, that really irks me. I was like, I don't want to see Christmas trees. I just googled it, so apparently it was Leanne Rimes singing "How Do I Live."
Yeah, I thought it was Leanne Rimes.
Oh, how do I live without you? Is it that?
It really threw me, man, because I was like, I don't know, like, because the whole thing with Con Air, like, it's always it's kind of been built up as a bit of like a cult classic in my mind, just because of like Pat watching it once a month, and yeah, I don't know, that was the last thing that I expected from it.
It's such a typical me film with like a lot of action and cheesy music. Look at
shit music, yeah. But the worst bit is they play at the end of the film as well. It's like, oh, fuck's sake.
Apparently, like "How Do I Live" was actually an original song for Con Air. Makes it even better.
Wait, really?
Apparently,
it was an original song for Con Air.
Yeah, apparently it won an award for best original song.
It won an award for best original. Man, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's a ton of people and moms in America that would have loved that freaking song.
my mum was one of the people who loved that song.
There you go.
You put the film on for your mum.
The thing is, did they actually watch it though? This is the thing.
Yeah, to be honest, if I showed this film to my mum, she would definitely tune out at the point where John Malkovich tries to chuck Danny Trejo out for raping someone.
If your dick jumps out your pants, you jump out my plane.
Oh, what a line. What a line.
Like Gerald, not Gerald. What's the green guy real name?
The green guy.
Green guy.
Sorry, the guy who's a reference to Silence of the Lambs. Or not Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
I was gonna say.
Jim Buscemi.
Yeah, he's basically
Buscemi.
Buscemi. That what's his name?
Yeah. The most pointless character in this movie.
That wasn't pointless.
Steve Buscemi's great.
He was a red herring.
Steve Buscemi is great, but he's literally like, if you took him out of this movie, nothing would change.
I don't get the fact that he's got a redemption arc that basically, because he didn't kill someone, he's allowed to just be free. It's like,
I wouldn't even call it a redemption arc.
No, that wasn't redemption.
I think it's the idea of that, like, you can't just put labels on people. Like, yeah, he's probably done all those things, but like, it doesn't mean that he's quote unquote evil. Like, he's clear. I mean, he says it himself. There's no medication for the sickness he has.
Yeah. I think it's also because he had enough fun without needing a killer. Like, he was still singing the song that they sang together on the plane when they thought they were gonna die. that was actually funny. And the Spanish guy, one of the Latino guys, like, "What's wrong?" Or the black guy, I can't remember. He's like, "What's wrong with you? I think you're gonna die. Shut up."
Go back to what John was saying about you could replace him with any other actor.
No. I'm not saying replacing him with another actor. I'm saying that literally that character, there's nothing to do with Steve Buscemi. That character is entirely pointless.
Yeah, it doesn't really add anything.
Yeah, like I've got nothing against Steve Buscemi. I love him, and like, again, I really like this movie, but he literally served no purpose. Like, they made a big deal out of him. The only things about him that I will remember is that the main antagonist made a stupid decision to release him, despite the fact that it sounds like he's worse than him. And then he did literally nothing and just made like some funny comments here and there, gave you some kiddie fiddler vibes, and then went off to Vegas.
You do kind of get the impression that like maybe Jerry Bruckheimer got a phone call one day and was just like, "Oh guys, Steve Buscemi's available. Should we get him in?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, there's no need." And he's like, "All right, yeah, we'll get you in."
Yeah. Phones weren't as clear those days. Like, they couldn't quite make out what he was saying.
Saying that, for me personally, I think it adds for me. I get what you're saying as well, but I like the fact that he kept saying things that just really grated the wrong way with Nicolas Cage. He's just like, Can you just stop talking to me? My girl's birthday. I'm just tired of listening to you. I just liked him making random comments now and then. Just like, what? But it made it more funnier, the moment. Otherwise,
to be honest, that moment was another one of the stupid moments for me. Why would you mention that you have a daughter to this person? That's a terrible idea. Like, as soon as that happened, I was like, why would, like, I know you just killed a man and you're like, you're a bit sort of disheveled and possibly like shocked, but don't. But, like, why would you do that? It's a terrible idea. Also,
yeah, there's many bad things in the script, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, again, I like the script in general. I like the movie in general. But another thing that bothered me was after he kills that guy. Again, I guess you could put it down to the fact that he's killed someone and he's a bit like out of it. But within reason, he was a soldier, so you'd think that it wouldn't affect him that much. But my first thought after that would be to hide my personal items somehow, so that no one else can go and find it and, get the fact that I've lied. But, it's not like I expect an impressively cohesive story from a movie like this, but it's annoying when they put plot points in to that then complicate it for no reason.
There's another thing. They didn't sort of say how long he was away in the army. He comes back and his wife is 6 months pregnant. And in my head, I was like, were you only away for a short trip? Why is she so glad to see you all of a sudden? So, I mean, like, considering how sort of eager she was to see him, you would have thought he was gone for quite some time.
I didn't really think much of that because, you do get leave sometimes depending on exactly what's going on. So, like, he could have been in the army for like 10 years, but he gets to see her like once a year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does happen, I think, quite often. Over having a few years trip, sometimes they get like a month or whatnot, or a few weeks or a week or two to kind of go back home or do something personal before they go back to duty.
Yeah, or maybe he had a conjugal visit.
Maybe. I can't believe he was a ranger though. Not with some of the his fighting was decent. Yeah, that I could believe. But like you said, he made some very dumb decisions. Like a ranger wouldn't have done this. A soldier, yeah, I could believe that. A ranger.
I think they just made him a ranger because soldier sounds boring. Like, I don't think they put much more thought into it than that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also because they really wanted to go to the angle. I think there's a point to the story. The whole reason he stayed in that plane was to save the black guy's life and the Latino prisoner guard as well. And he did not want to especially leave one of his best friends behind that he had made, even though he's going to continue being on prison for, I don't know how long his sentence is.
Well, like you said, no man left behind.
Yeah, and he kept saying that, and it was said as one of the first lines in the movie. So he was really heavy on that ranger angle. But I'm just like, this guy isn't smart enough to be a ranger. I'm sorry, a ranger would not have ended up in jail for killing someone in that situation. They would not have hit him in a critical point where he could be killed.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even us, like any of us, just your average Joe, if we got into a fight with someone, it's unlikely that we would palm someone in the nose, or that we would knee someone in the nose, or just anything that you could potentially kill someone with. Even if you're in like a very distressful situation and you're wanting to like knock the person out, you probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Your first thought is to punch someone straight, not just go, oh.
Oh, you just reminded me of one of my favorite parts of the movie, which was when the catty guy, who I actually thought was a girl when he got on the plane in the first place, when he like he goes like that, he goes and just slapped him.
That was like, great.
I appreciate that. Like, it's fucking stupid, but I appreciate it.
He just want to take the piss. It's just like, nah, I can't punch you. That's nah.
You ain't worth my fist, bitch.
Oh my god, his accent in the whole film was what got me. Oh, it's just.
I still can't. This is how bad I am with accents.
Oh, accent. I thought his accent was fine.
I'm from Alabama, and I still barely notice. But the thing is, his accent, many people, it's a big thing how bad his accent is in that film. But I'm just like,
I think it wasn't amazing, but I think it was fine. Like, it was definitely a Southern American accent.
Yeah, I think Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, I did notice it was a bit of a twang.
It was very much like sort of like a stage school kind of accent, I thought.
Yeah, but again, like I don't think it was bad.
The point was you were supposed to get the feeling that he was from the South. Everyone could tell that he was trying to be someone from the South. His accent weren't the best, but
I mean, to make purpose. I think they could have absolutely just not given him the accent, because you could have just assumed he was away in the army for long enough that he'd kind of lost it, left the accent back home with his family and the people that he, got involved with, and then you clearly still know where he's from. But again, like the accent doesn't bother me. I just feel like it wasn't like, we've had the conversation before about how necessary accents are to acting, and they absolutely are.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I don't think it made much of a difference to his character.
And the thing for me is, like, if it was like something like, I don't know, Citizen Kane, then I'd be going, that's a really bad accent. But because it's Con Air, I'm kind of like, you carry on, Nick Cage, that's fine.
Exactly.
I think it's cool when people change their accents, but I don't really care if anyone changed it in any type of film. It doesn't really matter to me.
Thinking about it, it's probably his dialogue, which is the worst bit.
The script wasn't exactly.
Because the accent, okay, you can get away with a Southern accent, but the dialogue to go with it just makes it just worse. It's just like, it just makes him sound stupid, and like that. I know it's a bad stereotype, but like that Southern kind of like hillbilly kind of accent is such a prominent kind of stereotype. It's kind of, they've just told him with the.
To be fair, I think that was intentional, because like there was many moments in the movie where he says something like either poignant or intelligent, and I think it's the point of like he's supposed to come off as the dumb redneck hillbilly, but he's more than that. So I feel like that was an intentional choice there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the last time, this is completely different field, but the last time I thought an accent was really bad and I was very confused by it was the bad guy in Black Widow. Anyone?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, don't.
Of course.
This is one of the few times, even me, I'm fine with most accents. I'm just like,
you mean
what accent are you doing? Yeah, I was very confused. I was like, I don't think he had either. He didn't have enough vocal training.
No, it's just Ray Winston. He plays the same character.
It's like if you're going to hire a Russian someone that's supposed to be a Russian like mafia equivalent, you don't hire Ray Winston, who's just like a typical East End Londoner.
Yeah,
just that's one. It's like a piss take accent, right? It's like I am Russian. It's like no.
Yeah.
My favourite example of that is I think it's Hunt for Red October, because you've got Sean Connery with a crew of people with Russian accents, and he's just wandering around with his Glaswegian one.
accent. It's like, Sean, like, can you do a Russian accent? He's like, no.
Sure.
But you're supposed to be Russian, and he's like, oh no, I'm Sean Connery.
I'm Sean Connery.
Highlander's another good one as well, because he like turns up on horseback and he's like, "Hello, I am Juan Ramos Ramirez." It's like, your name's Juan and you're from Glasgow. What?
Yeah, some actors just have a gift at it, and others just don't even bother.
Sean Connery. I think because Sean Connery's he's such a big name. Yeah. They just like, nah.
He can get away with it. That's the crazy thing.
With such an aura about them, never change their accents.
I think my favorite thing about Sean Connery is he's played Russians, he's played Egyptians, he's played Spanish people, and the only time he ever changed his accent was to play an Irish person.
Oh my god!
Man.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but it's one of them that weird films where it's just like a 90s trope. Like so much of the action was just like, oh god, this is so 90s. Like when they get like trapped in the wheel.
Oh,
that was funny.
Like the plane chase, and he's like, "Let me in," and then you find him dead. So it's like, and then they drop him out of an airplane, and he lands on the car. It's like
that was good.
One of my favorite scenes was towards the end, where like all the sort of police guys and what the fuck's his name, John Cusack, and they were like, "Hey, is that your car up there?" He's like, "No, my car's back at the office," and then the car just drops in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, you bastard! You took my car."
That's another one of them tropes in action films. You got the arsehole bloke who everyone hates at the start of the film, and he's an arsehole the whole way through, and then something happens, like some amazing thing, or the bad guy's beaten, and then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's all right now." It's like he's still a dickhead.
I have to say, if I was to pick one scene as my favourite, then nothing would come close to Nick Cage chucking Dave Chappelle out the plane. I was crying, man. Like there was a point just before that, chucking Dave Chappelle out of the plane.
Oh yeah.
Oh my!
There was a point just before where I was kind of going like, oh, I might give this like maybe 6 for enjoyment, and then that happened, and I was like 8.
But that's the thing, Dave Chappelle's character was probably the most pivotal character because his corpse alerted the authorities to where they were going.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I must admit though, like the sort, I don't know what they had, but like the thing that they chucked out the plane did not look like Dave Chappelle.
It was a crash test dummy.
Well, you can tell from looking at him when he's stuck in the thing that it's not him.
And
I
that's
actually
weird
thought it was pretty all right, to be honest.
I don't know, man. Like, because there was a couple of seconds where I was like, I'm sure it is Dave Chappelle, but I'm not sure if it is.
Dave Chappelle's last action in the film was chasing the plane.
Yeah.
And the thing I thought was weird as well is like sure, when you're chucking him out of the plane, obviously it's not going to actually be Dave Chappelle, but there was like a couple of there was a scene before where like he was literally just laying there, and I was like, you could have just got Dave Chappelle to lay there.
Maybe they actually were in a plane though, Rob, and it would have been too dangerous.
That was another thing as well, because like I did have the thought of like, are they ever going to leave this plane? And then that happened, and I was like, no, you can stay on there for as long as you want. That's fine.
Right, I'm going to start going through my notes then. So I have 4 notes about things I disliked about the movie. The first one is that I can't remember his name. I think it was Malone or something. But O'Brien from Star Trek, he was too annoying. Like, he's obviously supposed to be the one you hate, but he was too consistently annoying and just stupid. Well, he was a character, but he was way too to the extreme of that character. Like, and just it leads into another one of my notes, which was flagrant disregard for civilian life and the law in general.
Fucking hell, Alec.
And just like it was just really dumb. But like that is like, okay, whatever. Then I had a note that there was no dissension with the black dude. Like they laid the groundwork for him and what's his name?
Sorry?
John
Oh
Cusack.
yeah.
They laid the groundwork for them to like have a falling out or something, but nothing actually happened. Then he just gets blown up by a random police bike, which was just seemed like a bit of a waste.
Oh, don't.
What?
That doesn't make sense why it blows up.
I mean, no, but most cars that blow up in movies don't make sense. So
it's just the fact that it's a motorbike and it just goes bang. It's like the wheel hits the truck and it will just hit him, knock him off.
I mean,
that's it.
Like, that's most vehicle explosions in all media. They just blow up for like hitting a little thing on the side of the road.
It was certainly no trog for a car explosion, that's for sure.
And then my last note, which is a two-parter because I wrote it and then I went back and checked the scene to find out what happened. I wrote, where did the gun go? Because he had that silenced gun, and then all of a sudden he just didn't have it. And I was like, the fuck, that seems like a really useful thing that you could have kept on you. So I went back and watched the scene, and he threw it out of his hand when he jumped through the window to get away from the explosion. But he could have picked it back up. Like, there's no way it flew very far. He could have literally just picked it up and been like, oh, now I have a weapon. That's problem solved.
To be honest, what I would say to the weapon part, he might not have wanted to have a gun in case he actually did kill someone. I mean, he wanted to go home to his daughter, so even though he might not make it home, I don't know, having a gun might not help his cause.
I highly doubt he was thinking that much.
Fair enough.
I was going to
go on then.
I was going to say, is this one of the films that you mentioned like ages ago about Nicolas Cage running? Because it's quite, he's so wooden. He's like, it's kind of like, just doesn't run really well.
Not as well.
When he's reading the letters from his daughter, I was just like, can you at least please put some more emotion? I know you find that hard sometimes.
He was focusing too hard on the accent.
Yeah,
I love you.
I must admit, I appreciated that because as soon as he started reading, I was like, okay, I know how much Nick Cage is into this.
He was actually into it quite a bit.
I must admit, like I bumped it up one for story because I was originally only going to give it 2, but then there was a point where I was like, I kind of give a shit about his bunny, so that deserves at least a 3.
Put the bunny in the box.
And let's be honest, that scene, as much as that scene is great, where he points a gun at the bunny, it makes literally 0 sense because he like just talking in universe, the only person that he's told to put the bunny down is now dead. They were the only 2 people there. No one else knows what happened there. So the relevance of that bunny, nobody else gets. So for him to point the gun at the bunny and say, like, moving the bunny gets it is stupid as fuck. But I love it.
Also,
like he's having so much fun as that character.
Oh yeah. Can someone explain to me how the bunny ends up at the end almost falling into the drain?
I mean, there was a plane crash. It would have fallen off at some point and got caught in the water and then travelled down.
And the back of the plane was open as well.
You know what? I have to admit, as soon as you said, someone can someone explain to me, I was like, this isn't a question for me in this.
Also, there is another scene that was so campy that made me laugh so much. It was when the 3 bad guys got onto the fire truck, and then you see Cyrus just sort of gliding on the top of it as it's going by.
That's not inconspicuous at all, is it? Like, hey guys, look, I'm not here.
I'm skipping.
Oh, what was the thing that made me kind of sigh? I was thinking, I was just like, that's stupid. Actually, it's all pretty stupid. Hey, it's a 90s action.
Dan, your earphones suck ass and we can't understand what you're saying.
What?
Your mic.
Oh.
It sucks.
Where are you?
In Kent.
Where am I?
We'll never know.
Hello?
Hello.
That's better.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, God. Kind of weird.
Alec wants to come in.
Oh.
He's not there.
It's back.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, there was a scene and it really got me. And I was just like, this doesn't make any sense.
That was a lot of the film.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It was like the only bit that I was just like, what? Like the whole thing with the prison really got me. The fact that this bloke's like the most dangerous prisoner in whatever prison he was in, but he was still allowed to dig a hole in his wall and put all the plans of what they was going to do. Like, how fucking dumb is that?
I mean, Dan, if they can't dig holes in a prison, there's a lot of movies that would have never got made.
You must have hated Shawshank Redemption.
I've never watched it.
Have you
Yeah,
not?
I've never seen it either.
I've never watched it.
1 out of 10.
Oh man, if you haven't watched it, please recommend find some spare time and watch it. It's a freaking awesome classic.
Oh, if only we had a format.
I'm sure it's on Pat's list and mine.
I'm sure it's on probably Rob's as well.
I'm just pushing it up the list now.
Yeah, if someone else recommends it, cool. It's one of those movies, even though I think it's really good, I don't want to watch it again. It's a
Guess what my next pick is?
Plot.
Yeah.
But then that's me with most films. So anyway,
No, I get that, to be honest. Like, if I was around somebody's house and they was like, "Oh, do you want to stick Shawshank Redemption on?" Even though I love the film, I'd be like, "No." Like, definitely not.
It's not really worth it.
Please.
Yeah, it's a
bit of a
film.
downer, I'm assuming.
Yes, very much, but freaking great. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like, again, not expecting like A+ script and character work in this or anything, but why bother laying the groundwork for a possible revolt with the black dude? Even he even literally says, after this is done, it's my time. But despite that, and then him also trying to make a rift between them, nothing happens.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Who directed the film?
It's some English guy. I can't remember what his name is.
It was
though.
Ridley Scott.
Simon West. Let's have a look what else he's done.
No, Simon's from the East.
Oh, he also did Tomb Raider.
Which one? The
first one.
Angelina Jolie one?
Yeah, the
Or the
first
new one?
Angelina Jolie one.
Okay. Even though I've never really found her that attractive, I didn't actually mind that movie that much.
Well, this makes sense. He also did The Expendables too.
Brilliant.
I enjoyed that film as well.
Before you got here, Pat, Rob literally went, "Do you reckon that someone just looked at this and went, oh yeah, we could do that," and that's how Expendables got made.
Yeah, I reckon the pitch meeting was just somebody going, "I really want to make Con Air."
Glad they made it Expendable. Because it had one of my favourite piss Rob off scenes.
Wait, which one was that?
It would have been
the scene with Wesley
Blaze.
Snipes.
Yeah.
How did you get stuck in here? Tax evasion.
Oh yeah, fuck that scene.
Oh, so meta.
Love that scene. Because
Whoa,
Rob, you came to cinema to see it, and as soon as that scene happened, I looked straight at you.
I'm surprised Rob didn't walk out of them.
I'm surprised I didn't as well, to be honest. I've just come across some really awesome trivia. The director of this also directed the video for Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh man, that would have been a good
Oh, that's great.
Never gonna give you up.
Oh, another one for you, Pat. He also directed an advert for Budweiser.
And of many talents.
I'm trying to pick the scene that I saw, and I was just like, this is just the epitome of stupid.
Describe what you can remember. You've got a group of people who watch the same movie.
I really, really can't fucking remember. I'll have to.
You can't remember
think
anything about it at all.
Yeah, did you watch the film?
Oh, I did watch I did, but no, there was something that really got me, and I can't remember it now.
Are you sure? I feel like you should.
It really got you.
It got me. Really got me.
When did you watch the movie, Dan?
Thursday?
something really got you 2 days ago, and you.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man,
Probably tired.
I know I've already brought it up, but I remember exactly the bit that really got me, and it was when they shut Dave Chappelle out the plane.
Well, you say Chuck.
It was more of a push, really, wasn't it?
Hey, he got
It's
booted
kind
out. He got curb stomped out.
What was it that they wrote on his T-shirt?
He wrote the marshal's name, and then I think the location where they were going, like the Lenner Airfields or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's why he knew, on top of looking at the map, because he also looked at the map after he got the call, that it was a message for him, and then he's just like, wait, they are going in that direction.
I did find that funny because, like, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't break the film or anything, because this is definitely a suspension of disbelief moment that I'm fine with. But realistically, if he had fallen from that height, like, there probably would have been so much blood on that shirt, they wouldn't have been able to read a fucking thing.
When they was doing that, I was
That's a good point.
I was kind of sat there watching it, and I was like, "This is either really clever or very silly." And then I saw the CGI plane, and I was like, "No, it's very silly."
It was very silly, but I still liked it.
The CGI what?
The CGI plane.
Oh, I didn't even notice. To be honest, I was distracted by Mario Kart quite a few episodes.
You need to rewatch it, Emmanuel.
The best bad.
I've seen it 3 times now. Don't need to see it again. Sorry.
The best bit of bad production in this movie for me was John Cusack being in. Wait, do I mean Cusack? Which one is he?
He's the
hero.
He's not
what?
Cyrus.
Okay, so that is who I mean then. When he's in like the fighter helicopter, that's fucking hilarious. Like watching that, just how bad that looks.
So this is a sorry, Pat.
I was just going to say, did you know John Cusack has worked with Nick Cage 6 times?
I wonder how he feels about that.
We could have a. Sorry, Pat.
I was just going to say, I'm sure they like working with each other.
We should probably get him on as a special guest and ask him.
Man, that would be the pinnacle of film club. I don't think I'd be able to say anything. Hello, John Cusack.
I'll invite Nick Cage.
We'd have to make sure I hadn't been drinking, because if there's one time we can't have that.
Yeah.
If you do ever invite Nick Cage, then we need to write a contract where Ben has to wear that T-shirt again.
We all need to get a copy of that and wear it.
What shirt is that?
It's just a picture of Nick Cage's face stretched onto it.
Oh, you mean Ben's shirt?
Yeah.
The best thing is that the skin tone kind of matches yours, so it just looks like a huge tattoo.
Oh god! Now I want to get Ben that shirt, but there's no black on it at all.
I now want to see Arnie wear that T-shirt.
Maybe we could get him on as a special guest, and that would be part of his contract as well.
Nick will turn up drunk, and he'll be like, "Get out!"
I reckon
You could probably Photoshop it on him.
You should just email a couple of actors and be like, "Hey, we do this film club every week, and we're picking one of yours next week. We thought maybe you'd want to come along, and just like 10 minutes or so, we'll ask you a couple of questions and see. Like, you'll probably actually get a response from someone.
I'm sure someone would do it. Yeah.
We'll have to pretend that Pat's James Corden to get him here.
No, I put them off.
Sorry, but that's an insult to Pat.
As I saw the other day, I think people were talking about what's the new movie that he's in.
What, James Corden?
Peter Rabbit too.
I didn't know he was in one.
Yeah, I think it might be Peter Rabbit too. I saw a tweet from someone just being like, "Nobody wants James Corden. We didn't want him. We didn't want him here, and nobody else in the world wants him. Stop giving us James Corden." And I was like,
"He's like a massive twat, and no one cares."
I really
that's the thing. I used to like him, and then he just got really annoying.
I'm pretty indifferent to him, to be honest. I've got no strong feelings.
I love him on the League of Their Own.
Well, I liked him, and then I think he just got shoved in my face too many times, and I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with this now.
Everyone thought he's better than he is as an actor. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like The only thing I can remember seeing him in is Begin Again, and he was fine in that. But I feel like he just played himself, so whatever.
Yeah, he was
It's
only
not
in
like-
about 5 scenes as well, wasn't he? So
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against that. Like I don't mind Michael Caine and Samuel L. Jackson, most things I see. So not Samuel L. Jackson, I meant Morgan Freeman.
I was going to say, I watched the Samuel L. Jackson film today where he played something other than his usual one.
What?
Yeah, like he's no like Samuel L. Jackson is a good actor. Like, well, he's a great actor. I don't know why I said
Yeah,
good.
he's
a great
really
actor.
he's really underrated. He just keeps getting cast as the same character.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's always the case. Like, even if you're a really high profile actor, if you get typecast, like you then kind of, depending on what people have seen of yours, but the more you're typecast, obviously, the more frequently people have only seen you play that role, so they just think that you can't act.
A lot of people have either just seen him in a Tarantino film or playing Nick Fury.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Fury will be the most common one now for most people.
Do you know, at Cannes Film Festival, they actually invented the Best Supporting Actor award to give it to Samuel L. Jackson.
For what movie?
Jungle Fever.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, that Jungle
Nice.
Fever.
That was actually his breakout film,
Oh, really?
and it's Halle Berry's first film.
Oh,
But wait, who is he in the film?
He's the main character's crack addict brother.
Nick Jungle.
The bad thing is, as I asked the question, my brain went, well, he can't be the fucking main character because Rob just said supporting actor, you twat. I was like, oh, well, I've already asked the question now.
But this is the thing, guys. I mean, I'm going to pick it in the future. We'll talk about it then.
I was waiting for you to stop yourself. I was like, let's not let this go. This could be another Blade Runner.
Up to Spike Lee is me to Nick Cage.
That's very poetic of you, Pat.
Thank you.
So
Also,
I think I remember.
Oh, sorry, Dan, go on.
I was going to say, I think I remembered a bit now. It's the
Okay,
bit where
no,
they're...
interrupt him.
Oh, no. No, it's the bit where they're in the sandstorm and Cyrus comes out with his face uncovered and he's talking to him. I'm like, yeah, bullshit. Like, how the fuck? He's like the most wanted criminal and they don't know what he looks like.
Yeah,
And
but
he's
let's be
talking
fair.
to him.
Well, no, to be fair to that, like, how many, unless they've ever been involved in like the manhunt for him or anything, like I doubt they would even know his face. But even if they did, how likely would they be to notice his face just when he's in like other gear and stuff? Like, you got to remember how like the human brain works with like recognition and stuff like that. And just the fact that he's already got the premise in his head that this is a guard because he can see the uniform, he wouldn't even pay any attention to his face, I think. So I don't think that's actually that big of a problem.
Would this have been before like things like, I don't know, like sort of onboard computers and that kind of thing?
Well, not on board.
No, I think they would have had them still, but I don't think they would have used it in that scenario kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what John said makes sense. I think it depends, obviously, as well. It could go either way. Because
Depends on the person.
it depends on the person and also what position they had as a kind of policeman or prison person there.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
there would have been some people who would have needed to know the face. They wouldn't even need to know the faces because they only need to know the faces of the people they're putting on the plane.
Exactly, yeah. Like
Maybe, yeah.
he wasn't getting off there; he was going all the way. So, like, all they need to know is that. Shut up, Rob. All they need to know is who's going on and that there's no problems. Like, whatever.
Yeah, and who's coming off.
But
Yeah, that's it.
But the bloke with the muscle, everyone knew who he was. Right?
Which guy? You said muscle. There's a lot of muscle, guys.
Muscle.
Oh, muzzle. Yeah, but that's
Muscle,
different.
not muscle.
He was a level beyond that. And to be fair, no one saw his face to know who he was. They just knew his name. So that kind of proves the point further.
Who are we talking about again?
Steve Buscemi's character.
Oh yeah. There's plenty of people who didn't know his face. Yeah, probably his name, but not his face.
Yeah.
True.
So Dan, I refute your complaint.
I'm talking shit.
You're allowed to have an effective opinion, but that's the point of this. We talk about it, don't we?
But yeah, I was just like, well, he's supposed to be this like super hardcore criminal, and they don't even know who his face is.
Yeah, even if they did all know his face, the fact that there was a sandstorm going on, the fact that he was in a guard's uniform, and that everything seemed fine, like I think is enough of like leeway for suspension of disbelief there. But I get where you're going. Y'all got jungle. It's in my head now, Rob. Fuck you. Also, why the fuck did my camera just flip? What the hell? Oh, it's because Rob did this. I was like, I don't know why I looked at my camera, but I looked at my camera the moment it happened. And I was like, oh, my hair's on the wrong side. What's going on?
Why am I circular? Why am I circle?
Because you're on a phone, I think. Although no, Alex probably on his phone.
I think it's probably just because it can't work out what your face is and what the background is.
Yeah, that must be it. Hang on, let's see if I move a bit, if anything changes. No, not really.
Abstract.
Oh,
but yeah, Rob, I want you to know that song's stuck in my head now.
Yeah, it does that, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't even know any of the words to it apart from "Y'all got jungle fever."
It's actually the the song was written for the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure I've even heard the full song. It's just someone, a YouTube channel I follow. You know, I've told you before. I sometimes like listen to videos when I go to bed on repeat, like playlists of them. And I know in one of those, one of them sings that once, so it's just in my head.
Yeah, it is catchy, isn't it?
It really is.
I showed Rachel the trailer for it like last week, and yeah, just every now and again it will just come up now.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You know what? I reckon Dan. I reckon that the feelings Dan has about that movie is he doesn't give a Scooby. Anyone? No.
I don't get it.
Oh, good. Ben's got it. That's good enough for me.
Scooby Doo can do.
There's a Scooby Doo in the background of Dan's camera right now.
Oh yeah.
That was just his beard.
Also, and it's a dog, so there you
go. Oh,
yeah. So that's 1 point to me for the amazing bad joke, and 2 points to Ben for getting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really did enjoy this movie. Like I started off. I was just reading some manga at the same time because I do that sometimes when I know it's not like a story-heavy movie or anything. But I kept having to stop, so I was like, I just ended up focusing on just the movie. Like it's definitely not a good multicast movie because like too much goes on, which is weird to say for a movie that realistically not a lot happens on. But there's too much going on at once. Like the speed of the action and the plot, to the point where I was like, no, I have to actually pay attention to this. And despite it being like pretty shallow in general, I was attached to the characters, and I did want to know how they sort of got through it all and what was going to happen, as ridiculous as some of it was. Like, for example, I think one of the stupidest choices they made was having a fight scene in a cargo hold that you can't stand up fully in. That was a fucking weird choice. Like, it looked campy as shit.
Well, this is exactly what I mean, because like WCW had a match on the back of a truck once, and that was similarly stupid. So it's like,
well, even that would make more sense. Like the specific point in that fight that I will never forget is when the guy is on top of Nicolas Cage and he goes,
oh, man.
Bearing in mind that I've had someone on top of me in a fight, that's not easy to do. As Rob would know because he was there. Also, Dan, you need to fucking mute yourself. If that's David in the background, whoever it is, they're loud as shit. Yeah. Stop sniffing your fanny, Dan.
I've just been looking through reviews, and there's one. Shit, I was literally just about to read it, and it's gone. Oh, here it is. It's my own fault. I was just like clicking randomly while I was saying. But yeah, no. The review is basically this frankly silly action movie scores major points for bordering on self-parody. I think that's pretty much how I felt about it. Like it's kind of yeah. I mean, if I was watching it as a serious film, I'd probably be quite annoyed at some of the dialogue, but I just kept going like, no, this isn't the point.
Yeah, like that's like I wouldn't have phrased it like that myself, but as soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty fair because I really enjoyed this movie, but that's because I didn't take it seriously. Like I did enjoy the plot, but if I was to look at it as like a drama or something and be like, oh, let's see where this goes, I'd have been like, the fuck? Why is this guy in charge of anything? He's completely incompetent and like is trying to destroy a ship full of people. Like, I don't know why I said ship. It's an airship. Go with that. Yeah, there's so much wrong with this movie, but none of it really bothers me for the most part, apart from the things I mentioned. But even then, none of them break it for me. Like I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I think that's why like it's like what I was saying earlier. Like if you was watching like Citizen Kane, then like maybe Nicolas Cage's accent would be stupid, but because it's this, it's like whatever. But like I think that's why the beginning is actually quite well thought out because you've got kind of like Leanne Rimes singing, and you've got Nicolas Cage's silly accent, and it's kind of like, well, this is where we are, so that's fine.
Well, two things we need to talk about. One, Dan has raised his hand, so I'm guessing he wants to talk. But before we go to Dan, we have a request from one Alec Pittman to talk about Roger Ebert saying that the dialogue was witty.
Come off mute, Alec.
Also, Sayonara was fucking fantastic. Don't you dare say it wasn't.
Yeah. Sayonara.
That was witty as fuck.
10 out of 10.
Looks like he's about to explode.
Hello.
I've upset Alec already.
It's all subjective, isn't it?
What way is your camera? Because your forehead looks massive tonight.
He just does a massive forehead. Leave him alone.
I didn't realise we were getting into personal insight. You've got a big arse.
Thank you. I've also got a big belly.
Yeah, he does.
This is brilliant. It's like before tonight started, Alec was like, you know what, I might be drunk, I'm not going to show up. And then as soon as he comes off mute, Pat does a signature Alec.
Yeah, that's correct.
All without a single drop of rum.
But a lot of bum.
And that's you, John.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just aiming to keep this brief because I've been drinking all day, so I don't want to say anything. So give me a question, and then I'll mute myself again.
You wanted to talk about Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert called the dialogue witty, and
I mean, it's witty for the time. Like it's the kind of witty because like witty has to me it has two meanings. Like witty in the sense of like actually like smart, intelligent humor, and then witty as in like one-liner Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of humor.
I assumed it was a typo, and what he actually meant was whiffy.
I wouldn't call it witty. As much as I love cheesy dialogue, like in Con Air or The Rock or things like that, and it's not witty at all.
Yeah, cheesy is definitely the better term for it.
We've lost Alec.
What term did you use, John?
Cheesy. What Pat said. Cheesy is a better term for it.
Dialogue has more cheese than a lasagna.
I gotta say, like that. As much as I love the Sayonara bit because it's, I think I love it because it's so ridiculous. Like no one would do that in that moment. You'd be like, he's gonna say my name again. Wait for it. Sayonara.
Oh man, that I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like John Malkovich. and, and then I don't know. There was a few moments throughout this where I was just like, bloody hell. But it kind of went back to that thing that I was saying earlier. Like, yeah, you kind of have to watch it as Con Air.
Yeah, like if again, if this was a serious movie and he said that, you'd be like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, definitely that. Definitely.
Just
The
one of
other
those.
day, this might seem strange.
Yeah, but in this it was fine.
It's one of those films where all the actors were approached with the script and they're like, you know what, I could do with a break from something serious. Let's go and have fun with this.
Yeah, maybe it's literally like Pat picking this movie. They'd done loads of serious movies and they were like, you know what, I just want a good time. What's his name? Dave Chappelle's in it. It's gonna be all right.
I think that's the thing for me. Like, sort of half of my enjoyment was kind of watching it as a wrestling promo, and then the other half was just like being friends with Pat for so long. Because there's kind of points where, like, I don't know, like even though it's not something that I personally enjoy that much, like I can see why Pat enjoys it, and that's enough for me to enjoy it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Right, Dan. Sorry to keep you waiting so long. What was your thing?
Make a movie when he gets it.
No, I put my hand up for no reason. I just don't like it.
Well, don't put your hand up if you don't like it.
Like what?
We live in a free world, Dan. You don't need to do things you don't like.
Stop picking your nose.
Spread all the
Finger will get lost up there.
Pat, how old were you when you first watched Con Air?
Oh.
Dan,
I'd say I was about 10.
Really?
That's so loud.
So not long after it came out then.
Yeah, I think it was similar because I first watched it on VHS tape. I remember that.
Shit, really?
I watched it. I think I watched it on VHS as well.
So my dad had a tendency to watch stuff and then just fall asleep, and then I'd just pick up the controller and flick through, and I was like, I think I started watching that about halfway through.
Pat never watched movies while VHS was a thing.
And sort of whereabouts I was when I started watching it, but it was roughly about halfway through, and I was glued to it. So then the next time it was on the TV, I watched it again from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which then sort of led to this parody of myself watching it like every couple of weeks.
Was it you said that you watched it once a month or something?
Yeah. I've seen this film over 30 times.
Fucking hell.
That's all I think about when I think of Con Air.
Jesus.
Is the time that we were on Xbox and you were like, I watch Con Air once a month. We were just like, once a month? Con Air?
What the fuck?
And then we mocked him so much that he stopped watching it.
But Pat, right, by watching it that many times, do you not get bored of watching it? Because
if you enjoy something so much, like...
But you know what's happening. Like every bit you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen. And I find it. I watched Terminator 2 like that. I used to watch it all the time, and then when I went to watch it like as an adult, I was like, yeah, I just no. I kind of got bored of it.
It's not a film that is dependent on you not knowing what's going to happen next. It's a formulaic action film. So I just sit there and watch it and enjoy it.
I must admit, like, even though action it isn't really my genre, like I'm on Pat's side for this one now that I've seen it, because I reckon watching it again, I think watching it again, I will spend like the whole of the first half being like, Nick Cage is about to chuck Dave Chappelle out of a plane.
For me, watching action films like this is like me sort of when the football season's over, watching Premier League years on Sky. Like, I know exactly what's going to happen, but I get great entertainment out of it.
Yeah,
it's recapturing the emotion of watching it for the first time again, isn't it? That's what it is, Benny.
I get that a lot with a lot of action films.
Yeah, I must admit, I did have a laugh with it. Like, I think, I don't know. I think probably sort of years ago, I probably expected it to be a little bit like The Rock and sort of like a very sort of self-serious action film like that, but it's the complete opposite of that. Yeah.
I don't even think The Rock takes itself that seriously.
I think it does.
I find both The Rock and Con Air quite similar.
I think The Rock does take himself seriously.
No, they are similar, but I think the key point is that this is, like as Rob said, like bordering on self-parody, and they're clearly just having fun with it. Whereas I think The Rock, they were definitely going for a more serious look. Like they wanted the film to be taken seriously.
Yeah, but the actors had a lot of fun with that as well. Because I remember seeing an interview with Sean Connery like quite a few years ago. He was like, took it for basically took on the role to have a laugh.
Yeah, but just because he decided, that doesn't mean that was the intention behind the movie.
I got that feeling throughout the film. Like I never really took that film that seriously.
I'm just unmuting myself just for this one. I do agree that I think Con Air has like way more of a sense of a parody of itself than The Rock does. Like I don't just when you've got kind of like a scene where he's going like, put the bunny back in the box. I was like, there's nothing like that in The Rock. I just like it's kind of laughing at itself more, I think. But sorry, I'm going back to me.
You can even. Sorry, man. I was just going to say, I think even in like the choice of soundtrack, you can see it because like The Rock is all kind of like very sort of high tension strings and that kind of thing, and then this has got fucking Leanne Rimes.
But you got to remember, Sean Connery makes a joke about the prom queen.
Oh, I hate that line. And that's
one of my favourites.
Do you know what? Actually, that's the perfect comparison. Because in The Rock, that fucking pissed me off. But if that was in Con Air, I'd be like, "No, fair enough."
Your best. Because of this chat tonight, I'm considering loading my picks full of cheesy action films.
I mean, that's what we all want from you.
Yeah. To be honest, man, even if I hate every pick, I'll appreciate you doing that.
Can we pick the same film twice?
Oh.
On air.
If you do that, I'm rating stuff 0.
Oh no!
I would fucking love that though. Pat's active revenge is for us to watch Con Air every 7 weeks.
Oh god.
No, if Pat does that, I'll just have to pick Stop or My Mum Will Shoot.
Oh, that's a fucking great film.
Oh, it's not.
It is. It's fucking wonderful.
It's like fucking Kindergarten Cop. That's
hang on. I like Stop or My Mum Will Shoot, but Kindergarten Cop is fucking fantastic. Do not compare the two.
But I'm saying it's that kind of like serious action.
It's not a tumor.
It's like an action film hero.
Do you know, I watched a brilliant Arnold Schwarzenegger film the other day, and it completely holds up. I watched Twins. It's such a good film.
Twins is amazing.
Good old Danny DeVito.
We're actually supposed to be making a sequel called Triplets.
Yeah, with
there was talks about that. I don't know.
Eddie Murphy is the long lost brother.
Eddie Murphy.
I think they actually started work on it, but it just never finished for whatever reason.
It's probably for the best. Like Eddie Murphy, as much as I used to love him, he doesn't really hold up very well anymore.
I read a conspiracy theory the other day about how he killed a trans prostitute.
What?
Yeah, I'll link you to it.
Is that a conspiracy theory or an actual accusation?
I suppose it's an actual accusation. But it's basically.
Have you got pictures?
I haven't got pictures.
Why would pictures though?
Pictures?
Yeah, of what?
Conspiracy is like linked images.
Can I just say, I unmuted because we were talking about sort of like the sense of humour behind it, and then I was like, I'll just wait for my moment. And now we're on this, and I was like, I feel like the moment's gone.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Alec, I was just imagining that the article that you see about Eddie Murphy is a picture of Eddie Murphy and then a picture of the trans woman, but it's actually just Eddie Murphy dressed as a woman.
He killed a trans prostitute by stopping being trans.
And like normally that's not the kind of joke I go for because I actually genuinely, like to respect trans people and everything. But just because it's Eddie Murphy and the fact that he's done so many movies where he plays multiple roles, I think that would be a fantastic what's that parody website called? The Onion or something?
Yeah, The Onion.
Yeah, I could see them doing that.
I'd love to see that. Sorry.
But yeah, so the sense of humor.
No, it's all right. But my point was nowhere as funny as that was going to be. So that's fine.
But yeah, the story I think is very appropriate for the type of movie that it is. The acting, I thought, for the most part, was pretty good. Honestly, like the only acting that's like I think worth commenting on bad wise is obviously like while I don't mind the accent, it's not a good accent. And who was the other guy that I thought didn't do a great job? In fact, I forgot who it was now.
I like that quite.
No, I think a lot of them did pretty well. The guy who grabs the bunny out of the box, he's a bit like he's very much a caricature. Like again, proof that this movie isn't supposed to be taken seriously, just the way that his character is in general.
Yeah. To be honest, I agree. I don't think the acting was that bad at all, but I was kind of going like, I don't think anyone really could have done much better with the script. And I was kind of like, from that point of view, it's probably a 10, but I don't want to give it a 10.
Yeah,
it's definitely not a 10, especially with how bad some of it was. And I'm mainly thinking about Nicolas Cage. To be honest, he's the main focus for me.
The worst part of his acting was probably the moment that our group picture is. I'm just being like, sunlight. It's like
fucking love that.
It's sunlight, and you're also not free because you haven't got there yet. So this is a weird moment to bask in.
That was a weird moment because that was possibly the most emotion that he showed in the whole film.
I can't even remember. Wait, is that? When does that happen?
It's when he gets off the bus to get to the plane, I think, in the first place.
Oh.
And he's like, fresh air and freedom. It's like, no, one, you go outside probably every day anyway. So, I get the idea of being outside of prison doing it, fine. But you're not free yet. Like,
that was
chill
the
out.
thing. That was the thing for me, because I was kind of going like, well, I suppose being on a bus full of prisoners probably would be a bit smelly. But then I was
like, yes, it smells normal.
I was kind of like, if they'd have shown him doing that, like coming out of prison, it would have been a lot more effective because he's just about to go on a plane with them all now.
Yeah. Like you either do it when he leaves the prison or you do it when he like gets off of the last thing before he sees his family.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I do want to say my favorite moment of Nick Cage acting is when he comes back and Danny Trejo is kind of about to assault the lady guard.
Yeah, don't
and then he starts banging him. He's like, "Don't do that to women!" And I was in fucking stitches.
It was great because he like did well at keeping the accent on, but because he was again so focused on the accent, it sounded so wooden.
Oh, the fucking accent. Sorry, back to me.
But although he wasn't like amazing in this, it's not his fault because it wasn't he wasn't that important of a character. But Danny Trejo is a treasure.
I was really surprised he was in it because it was a fairly small role.
Well, it's funny. Like I'd kind of forgotten all about him at this point. But there was a long time where you couldn't go many movies in a row without seeing him in something. And he was also in the Def Jam games, so I always appreciated him for that.
Yeah.
He's the guy that you fight in the train station, and you can kill him with the train. Bit of trivia for you.
I don't think you're connected to audio, Pat.
Huh?
Oh no, never mind.
It looked like you were trying to
instead of my.
Oh, hang on. I think your mic's now doing what mine was doing. If there's any noise happening while you're talking, it won't work. So I'm going to shut up now and let you talk.
Yeah, my headset seems to have stopped working.
Oh, so you're having to use the microphone on your laptop?
Yeah, it's just suddenly changed to the laptop's mic.
I mean, if you plug the headset back in, and then you can change the output from Zoom. In the bottom left, there should be a little thing there about the audio, and if you bring that menu up, it will you can do the audio settings or whatever, and you can select which output device to use.
Speak.
I am speaking.
There we go.
Speak. Yeah, cool.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
I knew there's a reason I keep you around.
I mean, you say that, you've got no choice, mate. You're stuck with me.
Would be quite rude at this point.
Yeah, especially as I'm wearing the shirt you got me. Like, that's very rude.
It's true.
Wait, hang on. That's even ruder because I bought you that t-shirt.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought Pat did.
No, I bought you it because I was really disappointed that it didn't come in the cereal box.
John has two. Because I bought him one as well.
Okay, no.
I definitely did.
I'm fairly sure it was Pat that bought it for me.
I'm pretty sure it was me because I remember the disappointment that it didn't come in the cereal box.
Yeah, I remember it now. I bought it and it didn't come with a cereal box and you were pissed off.
I'm sure I bought it.
I'm like 90% sure Pat bought it for me.
I've got to say, on paper, this looks it looks like a very easy story to just sort of replicate there.
All right, let's find the receipt.
We're going to spend the next 3 hours with Pat and Rob looking through their bank statements.
John's had the t-shirt for like 4 years.
Yeah, it probably has been about that long. Yeah, to be honest, the only confusion I ever get with this is whether I bought it or Pat bought it. And then I'm always like, no, I'm pretty sure Pat bought this for me.
I'm checking my emails.
Whose pick is it next, anyway?
Senor Ben.
Oh, it's Benjamin. Do we have any more thoughts on this movie before we move on?
I don't think anyone had much thoughts to begin with.
No, you don't really need much thoughts for this, but it sounded like Emmanuel might have one.
Yeah.
I was talking about the director.
Just a interjection. So the fact, when he says about the band dying on the airplane, it's actually
dying on the airplane?
The band.
Yeah.
The band?
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's a song.
Yeah. So when they're singing Sweet Home Alabama, actually only 3 or 4 members of the band died.
Oh, well, that's totally different then.
Not the whole band.
Why is that a point of contention? Most of the band died in a plane crash. I think that's enough.
Most of the band died in the car crash. In the plane crash.
He says the band does.
Yeah, but that's still ironic.
Yeah, it's still ironic.
The whole band.
I like the idea that he was like, it's ironic, and you're like, it's not ironic, one survived.
So what we're saying is that we now have a new aspect ratio and kid running rampant in a hospital, which is you must be very specific about the number of people involved in the scenario you're discussing.
Exactly.
I don't talk about kids running around in hospital because that reminds me of a film I don't want to watch again.
If you've only got one band member, surely the band's still dead.
It reminds me of a really.
I mean, it's not a band anymore.
They're still playing.
It doesn't mean that they're the band.
Well,
just because fucking Axl Rose has his band going, Guns N' Roses, that's the one. That doesn't mean they're actually the band anymore. Because I remember finding out what happened with them. He literally dissolved the band and then was like, hey, Slash, do you want to come join my band called Guns N' Roses? But you'll be an employee under me and you have to sign this contract. And then he was like, go eat 1,000 dicks.
It is very dodgy, isn't it? It's very dodgy.
Yeah, that's bad. Saying that, it's very random, but if a kid run around a hospital, it reminds me of actually one of the books for The Ring, the Japanese film. Oh yeah, Scott. Oh man, sorry, Dan. Can you mute yourself, please?
They're so, I don't know, they're like in a different room.
Yeah, but Dan, whatever mic you're using is absolutely god awful.
Is it really? It's the earpieces.
They're terrible. And I think the last time you tried to use them, they were terrible as well. And then the moment you took them off and used just the phone, it sounded fine.
Yeah, if you use the earpieces, they pick up everything, whereas a phone, it isolates and knows who's talking.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that it's hard to actually hear Dan properly using the earpieces. That's the worst part. We can hear everything else like practically crystal clear, but then when Dan tries to talk, it's very fragmented and shitty.
That's very true. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I wanted to ask. So yeah, besides the ring thing, I wanted to ask. For everyone else, what was, because everyone else rated it high for purpose. So I wanted to hear other people's views on what they thought about the purpose of the film.
Well, it's kind of like what Rob was saying before, how this like borders on the line of self-parody, and this movie clearly has a sense of humor and isn't trying to be taken seriously. So in terms of what I believe the purpose to be behind the movie, it was literally just to make a fun action movie that is not taking itself seriously at all. And it achieved that very fucking well. But it still also had enough of a story and character work in it that I cared about the characters and what was going to happen. So I think it did really well purpose-wise for that reason.
It was original enough as well.
Yeah.
And the
Not many movies have someone pointing a gun at a stuffed bunny.
And the thing for me was like, it's like I was saying earlier, there were so many lines of dialogue where if they were in any other film, then I'd have been going like, this is fucking stupid, I hate this. But the fact that Con Air could have all of those lines of dialogue that would usually piss me off, and like for me to still come out of it thinking, no, I actually had quite a good time with that, I thought like I can't really give it a low score for purpose.
Yeah.
I think like for me, it was kind of summed up when Nick Cage is sort of running out of the building and it's exploding, and he's just going, and like his hair is just getting caught in kind of the motion capture beat with the explosion coming out behind him, and I was like, yeah, that's what we're going for here. Like,
that's clearly why they had his hair long. It's just for those scenes of him being like.
I feel like as well.
I think it's exactly as competent as what it's like trying to do. I just didn't get on with what it was trying to do.
Yeah, it's like I say about tons of things when we're talking about them. Like just because something is doing, like just because something is intentional or doing what it meant to do doesn't make it good. But obviously, in terms of purpose specifically, it did the job.
Yeah.
I
think as well, like there's a I think we should have a new rule for Nicolas Cage films in Film Club, and that's that if any Nicolas Cage film has given us a meme or a GIF, then it gets a high purpose score.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, high purpose score.
Hyperbole.
Yeah.
Hyperbole.
Right. So what's the next?
I think that the reasons you all said were kind of some of the same reasons I gave it the score I did. So it's just quite funny. I thought that a lot of the same things or similar things anyway, and then I was just like, yeah, this is a 3.
The thing is, like the bottom 3 categories are very subjective. So like your understanding of purpose will like wildly change between like each of us, because you know for me the purpose was like to make a dumb action movie that was fun, and they did that. But for someone else, it'd be like, well, the purpose was to make a movie, and they made a shitty action movie, and it's like, oh, okay, well.
I think The Rock's kind of the perfect comparison for it, because like I know Pat thinks there's like kind of the same sense of humor, but I feel like The Rock was trying to do like a serious action movie, and as a serious action movie, I don't think it did very well. But
yeah,
this I think is kind of going through the whole thing. I think embodied in kind of the title being a joke John Malkovich's character makes.
Yeah. Most movies where they say the title of the movie in the movie are not taking themselves seriously.
He's saying it as a joke, like "Welcome to Con Air," and they're like, yeah.
They went,
and I was like, yeah, that's a clear sense. This is not as like all that serious, and it's like,
I'd love if that was ad libbed, and they just went, oh my god, yes, that's the title.
We need a title, didn't we? I thought it was going to be called The Plane Full of Prisoners Who Couldn't Get Up.
The plane that never crashed.
Wait, snakes in a plane, cons in a plane. So, I was saying that I actually thought that suited. I feel like they probably wrote it and eventually came up with, I don't know which one was first, the name or the writing in the script, but I thought that was fine because since it's a parody of itself and there was lots of kind of cheesy jokes and stuff in it, I thought that was actually a decent one.
Oh yeah,
taking up, it suited his character as well. So I was just like, I was fine with that.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, one of the other reasons I would give this a high score for purpose is because it's very hard to make a movie like this, because you have three types of movies in this kind of bubble, and they're very akin to dad jokes, and it's like you've got the movies like The Rock where there's some humor in it, but most of the time it's not intentional, and that's like when you're laughing at a dad making jokes. Then you've got like the middle ground, which is this kind of movie where they're not taking themselves seriously and they're just, it's sort of self-deprecating and you can both have a laugh about it. So you're laughing together with the dad about it. And then you've got the ones where they've realized people are laughing at them. So they then try to be funny and then not. And those are the ones that are like too self-aware and it doesn't work.
Adam Sandler films.
I mean, I really like Adam Sandler and I like quite a lot of his movies, but yes.
I honestly didn't mean to talk this much, but like I do think it does kind of come down to like, especially with Nicolas Cage's character, and you got this dialogue of like, and it's like he comes out and he sees his family and he says it, I don't know, it's just he says some kind of schmaltzy line and Celine Dion's in the back and I was like, yeah, you honestly can't play this any straighter. You know what I mean? You can't play this as like a straight action movie. You kind of got to laugh at it a bit.
Like even there's even random scenes that like he gets shot in the arm and just ignores it and keeps walking.
Yeah,
and that makes no sense even for the character. Like he was a ranger. He's not some fucking super soldier.
Yeah.
Saying that, I thought that it was weird, and maybe the effects were really bad. But he didn't look like he got shot in the arm at first.
Well, there was no recoil.
Yeah, but also it looked, because of the special effects, it looked like, or VFX, physical effects, whatever. It looked like it didn't actually look like the bullet went in the arm. It looked like it scraped his arm, which was believable. But then afterwards, you see he's wrapped up his arm and it's bleeding. I was just like confused, like, wait, I thought you only got grazed with the bullet. The effects did not match.
That's the thing. Like they could have easily just gone with the graze, because grazes can still be pretty bad and enough that you'd want to wrap the arm up, especially considering the kind of situation they were in and that you wouldn't want it to get infected and stuff like that. But as far as I could tell, it was clearly supposed to be that he did get shot in the arm and then he just completely ignored it. And I was like, I mean, I believe it because I know what kind of movie this is. But if this was trying to take itself seriously in any way, it makes zero sense for the character, for the story, for everything.
That makes zero sense in any film where it's not someone who has some kind of power. Because literally, even a Hulk of a person, a freaking immense bodybuilder, there would have been some recoil to go, and they could have kept walking, but it would have moved their shoulder.
Yeah, like I do think it's fine to do even in like things where people don't have powers, because it's like a symbol of how like determined or upset or angry or whatever they are at the time. It's not realistic, but then that's not necessarily why you'd be watching a movie that'd have that in the first place.
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
I get what you mean.
Ben, what's your film?
Fucking hell, Dan! If you want to leave, you can fuck off.
I do want to leave.
Just before we finish, as a matter of record, I've looked through my emails. I can't find the receipt, so I probably didn't buy it. Sorry, Pat.
Hang on, what do you mean, sorry, Pat? I'm the one telling you that I'm like fairly sure it was Pat.
Yeah, but I don't want to accidentally take Pat's credit.
Yeah, but
You've gone through 5 years worth of receipts.
Or just
I mean, he
search
probably
WWE shop.
yeah, I was going to say, we just searched it on his email.
Right. So Ben, what's your film?
So, did anyone else have any closing?
Oh.
I think I was done. I was surprised that I enjoyed it more than Alec. When we
What?
came out with I
Hey.
was surprised I enjoyed it more than Alec, but we came out with roughly the same scores. I just found it.
Although I
kinda
guess
cool.
you can be pretty harsh as well sometimes. So it's not. I think if anyone else had said that about Alec, it would have been like, "What are you talking about?" But no, that makes sense.
They will see as Alec as the bottom person for enjoyment.
Yeah, even though I'm pretty sure I probably am.
I'll just sit and take that, I guess.
Yeah, you fucking will.
As a true bottom would.
Oh man.
I'm just a miserable bottom.
He's the Zeta male.
Ben,
No, bottom.
Oh yeah,
Ben.
I keep forgetting to look at what Plimbo is. I saw that referenced recently, and I was like, I wonder what the fuck that means. Because apparently it's the new alpha male.
Hmm.
So let's look it up, and we'll talk about it right now instead of moving on to the next movie.
I'm going. Bye.
I'll just let it happen because I'm the ultimate bottom.
Let it happen. Let it happen.
Ben, what's your film?
Well, my next film is the first feature film by Steven Spielberg called Duel.
Sorry, can we do that again? I feel like Pat did not give that the amount that deserved. Ben, what's your film?
It's Duel.
Yeah,
It's
fucking
what?
love Duel.
Film called Duel. And it's playing
Duel as in like sword fighting duel? Duel
Duel
as
of
in
the
like
Fates,
dual
yes.
wielding? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Duel as in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Because it's like that's genuinely a word that's hard to talk about with people sometimes because they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I posted it in the Facebook group so you can see.
Oh,
It's
thanks.
available to rent and stream.
And download
Yeah, available somewhere to buy.
What?
Oh,
It's still
me too,
John, it's still
if I
recording.
remember.
If you
Oh, fuck.
remember.
Don't say
It's-
don't say the rodent
No.
words.
Logan.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't talk about it.
Quick, Rob, stop recording.
They get you.
Oh shit! I've lost the button. I was in my own
Oh
little world.
no.
Bye.
Bye.
Good time.